1343, and we are burning the midnight oil. It's very late. Thank you. Um, just really busy day today, as always, because of this video. This video of this K-9 K-9 cop making a traffic stop in a parking lot, let's say a private parking lot, at midnight. Um, and so we put up just a little piece of the video that we have, and I think it's. This is the craziest city. Sorry. Let me go to Facebook and see if I'm on. In a parking lot, let's say a private park. Yeah, looks like I'm on. Great, thank you. So let's talk about this K-9 cop, Sergeant Jesus Melendez from El Paso, doing really well for himself, but not in Richard's case. Not in Richard's case. I don't know how he's doing so well for himself with what he did to Richard. Because absolutely it was a frame job. It was a absolutely needs to be investigated clearly. And the other police officer is Miguel Carzoli, because this K-9 cop Jesus Melendez called in another cop. Okay, like they don't have serious issues. They have to call in this K-9 cop. You could tell that K-9 cops really don't make traffic stops in a parking lot, a private parking lot at midnight, right? They have to call in Miguel Carzoli to do the dirty work, to continue the dirty work of what happened that night. And, it seems that when I speak with, whoever I show this to, they are absolutely, it just shows how beautiful Richard is, how respectful he is, what a stellar soldier he is. And, the narrative was so ugly, what we were told. And that's not at all what we see in the video. And they had to present the narrative in a very ugly way to us, because they used this stop, this Ken, because his family connections are conflicts of interest. Okay, his family connections are conflicts of interest, and it needs to be investigated. Jesus Melendez, the K-9 cop, that doesn't have anything better to do. Maybe, Belen called in a favor. Maybe it was somebody else, because there's conflicts of interest here that are really, really big. And K-9 cops just don't make traffic stops, especially in a private parking lot at midnight, for what? Driving in a parking lot without headlights on or something. It's just absolutely what they did to Richard because of this traffic stop, which I think Richard's rights were violated. And I think that Alma Trejo saw also the foolishness in this stop because she dismissed the case. She dismissed the case. Judge Alma Trejo dismissed the case. Now, there was a pretrial diversion put on there, and a lot of people don't understand what a pretrial diversion is. And so, I'll give an I'll tell you what I know. And anyone out there that has experiences, they can chime in. But a pretrial diversion is something that protects the judge. Okay, it protects the judge. Why? Because it's a dismissed case. But what if she didn't know something? Right? What if she didn't know something? What if something wasn't there that she should have known, that she should have seen? Um, because in today's world, you cannot really trust that you know everything, or the character of the person that you are dismissing. They've created pretrial diversions, which I think are also a funding device because you have to pay money with a pretrial diversion. Um, but anyway, but it is a safety net for the judge because what it's doing is saying your case is dismissed, but that dismissal is going to be delayed to kind of prove yourself. Make sure that my judgment is accurate, that you're not going to go out and get yourself into trouble, and I'm going to find out that you really, uh, you know, I don't know, or that you are a stellar soldier, right? I want to make sure that you are a stellar soldier. And so the pretrial diversion is a delay in the dismissal, as I understand it. And so his case was dismissed. And I understand, why they do that because the judge can, have that cushion time to make sure that this person is a stellar person, and deserves that dismissal. But Richard, absolutely, she didn't have to worry about him, because he absolutely is a distinguished honor graduate soldier for basic training in AIT and a stellar soldier and very respectful. And I'm sure she saw the body cam footage and very respectful. Did everything that the police officers asked him to do. And the other thing about the video footage that we have, um, and it seems to be a little, files get tampered with. Files get tampered with. So I think that these files need to be investigated because in Richard's case, so many files have been tampered with. So when we received the files, we didn't release them quickly because we wanted them absolutely looked at, and make sure, these were uh, authentic, authentic videos because there's a lot of tampering going on. There's a lot of people that are very talented and they will tamper with documents, they will tamper with video. And we know in Richard's case, there's a lot of tampering going on. And also some seals, they've sealed up documents. Um, why would they, like in this report that we received, they sealed up the documents for the medical examiner? Why? Why would they do that? Why can't we see the medical examiner's report? Um, it's really obvious that things that relate to finding Richard's remains in Mexico have been covered up, and that they, he is missing. His remains are missing, and I believe that there are many people that know where they're at, and they're just not giving our son to us. Okay. And, because it's so devastating. It's so devastating for the military because not only how they have handled this case, but also the connection with the Walmart mass shooting, the lies all around the Texas, the Walmart mass shooting, all the lies surrounding what they did there to interfere with the election, to interfere with Trump's character, with MAGA's character, the people voting. Yeah, it was really a smear campaign, and also to kill El Pasoans, to absolutely kill El Pasoans. And it was not at all what they said it was. And I believe that there needs to be an investigation, another audit, or another investigation in the audits, the previous audits that were happening, and also releasing Richard's complaints, because I believe that there is a big chance, a very big chance, that the weapons used, the M4s used, the brown tip bullets used in the Walmart mass shooting came from Fort Bliss, the arms room. I believe there's a huge chance that that is a possibility, and that needs to be investigated, because Glennon Oakley Jr. is dead. He's dead. He was found dead, and I want to be, I should say deceased or passed away. But I need to shock people into realizing that this young man, you just don't die in the barracks room. You just don't die there. You just don't pass away when you're a beautiful, healthy 21-year-old, married, you know, um, and everything surrounding Glennon Oakley Jr. And when you watch his videos, um, you know, you understand that the day after his testimony, that these people that were dressed in black, looking like mall cops, had M4s, and that there were shots in the Walmart. I mean, in the mall, in the Cielo Vista Mall. Yeah, it makes me shake. It makes me misspeak, because it's so horrendous to think that he was retaliated so badly, and it really does implicate the military, because they didn't protect him, and they didn't protect Richard. They didn't protect Asia Graham. Those are really three very clear, and I think there's others. I know there's others because of going back through our notes. But those are three that are just on the top of my mind. But there are others that are whistleblowers that see something and say something, and then they're gone. They're gone. And I think it's Jesus Melendez needs to be investigated, because this traffic stop by a K-9 cop in a parking lot at midnight was unjust, and to me it shows some kind of collusion and a frame job, a setup job. And I'm afraid that with all the connections that we're making and exposing and we're making behind the scenes, that this is cartel in collusion with our military. That cartel are much more powerful than what we know in El Paso and in our institutions in El Paso. Because why would Richard be destroyed professionally, totally professionally, by him standing there saying, yes, sir. This whole thing about DUI or DWI or all of that, legally it's all debunked because it was dismissed. It was dismissed by Judge Almatrejo. And clearly, that is a motive to kill Richard. And why do I say that? Because when he had the January 25th stop, I don't think that they thought that that would be dismissed. I don't think that they thought that Richard was going to be such a stellar soldier in the traffic stop at midnight in a private parking lot. And be so respectful and, even if Belen had said, hey, come on, have a shot with me or whatever of whiskey or tequila or whatever. Because absolutely on post, there's all kinds of drinking. And we heard it from the, what do you call that when you, the defector, right? The soldier that defected into Russia that was from Fort Bliss. And he said for 2 years, he just stayed drunk the whole time, right? He just stayed drunk the whole time. That's what he said in his interview in Russia. And there is absolutely out of control drinking on Fort Bliss. And so for this K-9 cop, this was an easy setup. This was an easy frame job in their thinking. But Richard didn't totally fall for it, did he? Because he was so respectful. He was a stellar soldier. And, he wasn't belligerent. He didn't start crying and carrying on and try to talk his way out of it or anything like that. No excuses, nothing. Just yes, sir, yes, sir. Did everything he was told. Was absolutely beautiful. He didn't throw any punches. He didn't, start cussing or nothing. He was a stellar soldier. And I think that they didn't expect that. Because they're so belligerent themselves. And it just didn't work. It just didn't work. His case was dismissed because the video evidence is so powerful of his good character. And, it's just really amazing. It's just so amazing that it didn't work, that it was dismissed. And so, what did that do? How was that a motive then for the unit to do a code red, or the general to do a code red, or the cartel working with the general to do a code red? I mean, I don't know. Those are all possibilities, because, or intelligence working with the cartel to do a code red on Richard, and kill him and murder him, because we absolutely know that CID is implicated in this. And we know that FBI is implicated in this. And we know that the DES is implicated in this. And, the DES, you might not know that one, Director of Emergency Services. They are absolutely in charge of the security of Fort Bliss, all the video footage, all the cameras, all the gates. Absolutely, they're implicated in the murder of Richard. And because when they had him arrested, falsely arrested, right? And you can say falsely arrested because he was dismissed. The case was dismissed. But they didn't waste any time. They didn't wait until they saw a judgment by the judge. He was not presumed innocent until he was, he was not presumed innocent. They went ahead and labeled him guilty without a fair hearing. And what did they do? They destroyed his whole profession, all his work that he had done. They were absolutely malicious, and they were intentionally malicious. And I believe that they orchestrated this intentional, malicious action. And that would include Major General Clem Coward. That would include, of course, Jesus Melendez, the K-9 cop. And also Miguel Carzoli. It would include them. And it would include Lieutenant Colonel Michael Roddick. And it would include, of course, Patrick, Major General, now Lieutenant General Patrick Matlock. Absolutely. Because they did not wait. They did not presume him to be innocent. And, that is very, very important in this, because Richard never, ever did anything else but maintain his innocence. He never confessed to any kind of violation. He maintained his innocence. And they didn't care. They did not presume him innocent. And so they did not wait for the judgment. They went ahead and gave him a permanent GOMAR, which totally destroys your entire career. Then started chaptering him out, which, long 4 months, and it still wasn't done. That is outrageous. They just fed him to the bully wolves. That's what they did. And they didn't stop there. They gave him a field grade Article 15, stripped him of 3 ranks, 50% of his pay for 2 months, 45 days of extra duty, wearing full battle gear, wearing a mask because of the stupid, ignorant, politically motivated COVID mandates. And that gave him 4 hours of time to sleep, to wash, shower, wash, whatever, shave. 4 hours. 45 days of extra duty with only 4 hours. And those 4 hours were in an unsecured barracks, him fed to the wolves for bullying, probably assault. Remember, Asia Graham was raped in the barracks. The barracks were flush with weapons. It's an unsecured military installation. He was a whistleblower. And we have information that he reported that he was being bullied and assaulted. And that's why they issued him a security detail. And on the day that he went missing, and we were told by one of his unit members that he was forcibly removed from the barracks. Forcibly removed. During that, when the security detail failed to show up, and I believe under the pretense of a false arrest, because the CID were absolutely involved in this. In my opinion, they were absolutely involved in this. And don't forget, that's not surprising, because Richard was a whistleblower, and he was also, when he first got there, pursuing to become a CID. And Dirty Agent Marlon Soto confirmed what we had in paperwork, that Richard had submitted an inquiry to become CID. But see, they're dirty. And Richard became a whistleblower. And then Tavita Nusa was committing adultery with Leilani Hart. That is, you can say, oh, wow, what? No. He's a CID agent. That's ripe for blackmail. And what happened? He gave her unauthorized access to files in the CID. And those files, Richard's file, was tampered with. And of course, Leilani Hart is the mother of Dallas Hart, Richard's he's first lieutenant, platoon leader. So absolutely, there's a problem. Adultery is a big, big problem. So when this whole thing happened with Richard, we have intelligence coming back that he fought. He fought hard. We have intelligence coming back that there was a knife involved. We have intelligence that Dallas Hart needed dental work and his nose worked on. We have intelligence that Richard seemed to bash someone's teeth in and break someone's nose and create some other injuries. And that's not shocking either. Richard was a black belt in karate. He knew how to fight. He could turn a broomstick into a weapon. He knew self-defense. Rob and I, we really believe in self-defense. So I don't know if Richard bashed in Dallas Hart's nose and teeth. I don't know. But there are other people that do know, that can answer that question. Please call 941-677-0067. 0060, sorry. 941-677-0060. So yeah, that would be very, very helpful. And it all started with a dirty K-9 cop. In my opinion, Jesus Melendez. Because absolutely, there was absolutely a frame job going on. And, he says he stopped Richard for not having his lights on in the parking lot. That's what he says. And, that parking lot was so well lit because there's a gang unit there for, like FBI, and it's multi-agency task force for gang activity in El Paso. It's right there. It's right there. That is a very well lit parking lot. And when Richard was asked, he said that it was because he wanted to, thank you so much, he wanted to go to sleep. Well, of course. How can you sleep in the barracks? There's no safety. There's just security breaches everywhere. And there is, criminal activity, drug activity. They're drinking like crazy. So they're partying. They're raping. And they were not serious about underage drinking like they kept telling us. They were misrepresenting this whole traffic stop to us. Absolutely misrepresenting it to us. And they did not care about underage drinking because while we were there, wasn't it 11 or 12 soldiers that were drinking grog during a field operation? And they were drinking it from a C-lit, and so they got poisoned by antifreeze and ended up in the hospital. So they were not, and they did not release the ages because so many of them were underage. So they were not serious about the age of drinking. They have developed a drinking culture. They put the class 6. The class 6 is right beside the barracks. Okay, right beside the barracks. And, I don't even like, people might misunderstand what I'm saying. Um, like we have to censor them or we have to, you know, but that's not my meaning. My meaning is that the command told us huge lies over and over again, that they take underage drinking seriously, that they don't tolerate the drinking culture, and they misrepresented Richard in this traffic stop. And I think that's the point. You know them by their fruit. And that's the meaning behind what I'm saying. And there's something very, very fishy about Jesus Melendez. I'm telling you right now. And I think that he connects Richard's case with the Walmart case. Again, because we have so many connections with the Walmart case. And the connections absolutely need to be investigated, because you will see that even a amateur investigation will show you that there was an orchestrated, collaborative effort to create a mass shooting in El Paso, killing people by our agencies, by our own. And all of, the monies involved, the monies. I think Rosa Maria Valdez Garcia received, her and her children together, $210,000. She's been divorced from Alexander Hoffman for years, I think almost 2 decades. And yet she's a victim. Well, okay, fine, she's a victim. I think really it's because Alexander Hoffman had connection to the El Paso Community Foundation, who was receiving the donations. Because we don't have word at all that little baby that was left, parentless because both parents were killed, received anything. So, what is the vetting? What's the determiner for El Paso Community Foundation? Because millions were brought in through donations. And, because the American people, hearts were broken. And they were fed lies about how these people were murdered. And, the more you find out about this, the more evil you see. And we're supposed to focus on what is good and right and noble and true. And we absolutely do try to do that. But you know what? We have a duty. We have a mission that's given to us, and that is to establish justice. And they didn't even presume Richard innocent, and he then was declared innocent because his case was dismissed. But it was dismissed on July 9th, 2020. July 9th, 2020 is when he was declared uh, innocent, dismissed, pretrial diversion. And what was the command going to do after they had destroyed him so much? What were they going to do? Apologize? Give him back his career, give him back his 3 ranks, give him back his money, give him back his 45 days of time? Were they going to secure the barracks then? Were they going to change their ways? Were they going to do that? No, they didn't do that. They still haven't done that. They still are retaliating. They still are playing evil games. And the decision that was made was quite the opposite. I believe it was a code red. I believe it was to orchestrate, to, get their buddies together who, in the cartel or in their, agencies, the evil guys that don't mind killing, and to murder Richard. To help murder him anyway. So, that's my investigative theory. Put out that investigative theory. Yeah, and I don't think it's outrageous, given the piles and piles and piles of evidence that we have, and you can see it in Iskander Day, can't we? Because our military got blown away that day when our Patriot missiles got blown away. Didn't even have a chance. So this is not just about Richard. This is about readiness. This is about defense. This is about being frauded, wasted, and abused when we think we're paying for our defense, and that's not what's happening. So I want to say thank you so much to Anicia. Thank you so much for your prayers for Richard, for our family, for the love, and for Grace. Thank you so much for your prayers, for your love. We That's what keeps us strong. Your comments, also sharing, and your likes and your love. That's what keeps us going. And we have worked very, very hard to keep Richard's case out there. Not in cold case. It's not a cold case. It's a huge, huge case. And just because I'm the mother is not why I'm saying that. It is just that big. It's connected to the Walmart case. It came before the Walmart case. And we know that because of the audits. We know that because of Richard's whistleblowing. We know that from all the evidence that we have. So, and it's really hard to create that timeline in your mind. You really do have to draw it out. You have to do all the, right here in front of me, all the board work to see who's who. And I can tell you right now, Ernest Christopher Grant, he's a big player in this. Rosa Maria Valdez Garcia, she's a big player in this. And, there's just a lot of people that are related to each other. They're all related. There's so many conflicts of interest, which means that this was orchestrated to be this way because HRC had to approve all of these family connections, these positions being given. It's like Veronica Escobar having conflicts of interest with Mario Raskin Ortiz and knowing that he's an American citizen, but giving him the El Paso chief medical examiner position that is a judicial position that is has requirements because it is a powerful subpoena ordering, warrant ordering position. It's like a judge. And he has to be the most upright person because he has to witness in the court of law about these deceased people that he has to determine their cause of death. And so the Texas Constitution says the person that has that position must be an American citizen. And Veronica Escobar, the safety of the Texas Constitution was for her trash. She just trashed it. She didn't care. And because she has a conflict of interest with Mario Raskin Ortiz and Angela Kachurga, she allowed the appointment because she was presiding over, and this is in 2014, she was presiding over the El Paso commissioners. She was the county commissioner's judge. And she allowed him to be appointed. And in the meantime, we're getting word that in the meantime, he was going over to Juarez, double dipping as a medical examiner over there. And that explains why we received the 3 autopsy reports, and that the Semifo autopsy report, which is the Chihuahua, the Mexican autopsy report, had Ortiz's name on it. Now, are they admitting to it? We haven't been that fortunate. But is it a coincidence that Ortiz is on the Semifo and then we have a Mario Raskin Ortiz as our chief medical examiner and we have another autopsy report from the El Paso County medical examiner, and then we have one for Fort Bliss, and then we do open records with Judge Robert Shook on Fort Bliss to ask him, and Judge Penny Hamilton, but Judge Robert Shook, the military judge, it's like, what do you know about these autopsy reports? And what happens? He packs up and moves out. I mean, that's really crazy. Now you can tell me what that means, because several people seem to be moving out. And of course, what they did to Richard's unit was to deploy them. So what does that tell you? That the command structure, all the way up to Mealy at the time, was not interested in finding Richard and doing the right thing. That's what you tell. And then you've got Chase Manhattan Bank hiring him. And he's a total failed 4-star general. Totally failed in every respect. And what does this mean? It means that we are to expect wherever he lays his hands to be a failure. Now, a lot of banking people, a lot of people, if you bank with Chase Manhattan, you better take your money out of there because they hired a failed four-star general. I mean, failed in the biggest ways. The biggest ways. Look at his record. So I think that is really important to point out because, you know, this is not a personal case. This is an American case. And of course, El Paso. And I would say because it's a binational crime scene, because ATF was there, Interpol is involved, which, we're still working behind the scenes with what happened with Interpol, which is huge. But this is binational. So this is of interest for Mexico too, and for the people of Mexico. And Mexico is suffering so much right now. Their crime rate, their murder rate is like, astronomical. It's terrible. And we don't have to look far. We can just look at our failed leadership. Absolutely failed leadership. And it really is sickening with Veronica Escobar. To me, I think she needs to be arrested. Okay? That's how I feel, cuz she sits on all these committees and she talks this pretty talk, you know, about helping out Hispanic women, about gun control, about this and that. She's all this talk. And yet, the murderer of her neighbor talks a little bit different talk. Who do we believe? Veronica Escobar, who has nothing but rotten fruit? Or the motive of her neighbor's murderer? That's interesting. That's interesting. There's so much intelligence coming in right now, and we're very, very fortunate to have it. And everybody can have it. Everybody can have it. Just do some research. The internet is just absolutely um, a place where you can connect with so many, and it's just so different from when I was growing up because some of this stuff has been happening for decades. And I think I remember when we had phone bills that were just crazy, trying to call Germany, and now we just do these video zooms and all this communication. It really has been a huge, huge blessing. And so thank you so much. And you can say what you want about Facebook or TikTok or all of that, but it has been a huge blessing to get justice for Richard. And I think that, and to keep his case from going into cold case, because we have asked several times, is Richard a cold case, or is it active? And it's always come back, oh no, it's an active case. So we'll see. We've been doing a lot behind the scenes to keep it active, uh, giving the evidence. You need to investigate. Yeah. So, and I think they need to look at Jesus Melendez. Veronica Escobar, Jesus Melendez, Ernest Christopher Grant, Donna Sifford, Rosa Maria Valdez Garcia, Lalani Hart, all roads lead to little. But you know what? I think a lot of roads are leading to Rosa Maria Valdez Garcia. I think, are they sisters? Are they, do they, I don't know, because it seems like the roads are leading to those two. And of course, Dallas Hart and Tavita Nusa and James Hart. James Hart. Yeah. He has access. He has access. And we know that a lot of identities are being stolen and just a lot of up to no good stuff being done. So that all needs to be investigated. And then there's more. So, anyway, it's really late. Thank you so much. And I'm sorry for keeping you so late today. But we love you. And we're so glad that you came on and you're patient with us and long suffering with us. And we are working very, very hard to get justice for Richard, which will, I believe, be a blessing for all of us. So, thank you so much. And we want it more than anybody. And we do have a lot going on behind the scenes, too. As soon as we know more, we will let you know. Thank you so much. God bless. Bye bye.